Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Too Many Guys Soccer Show. Our esteemed host, Mike, is incapacitated yet again due to his ongoing home repairs, which, as a longtime renter and owner and landlord, I understand completely. So, Mike, all the best. Hopefully, you get your digs together and you guys can actually move forward and you can get back on the show. So, we'll hopefully get him on later on this week and get some more going. But we've had an exciting week of international football. And so the three of us are going to go ahead and recap what we've done so far. But before we get into that, G, how you doing today, brother?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. I'm still reading for a college board. I think that I am at, 135 hours for a week period of pace. So I don't know what happened to my camera. I'll fix that here soon. But everything is going to be really good. I don't know what's going on with my camera. Whatever, I'll fix it real quick.
It's the Too Many Guys Soccer Show. It wouldn't be right if something didn't go wrong. So,
we try to get better next week, and this is what happens last week when he said that. So once I stop talking, and I'll fix it, and I'll come right back.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Professor Matt, with the super insightful details about not just the Euro, but the Eastern aspect of the Euro. How you doing tonight, brother?
We're doing. It's miserably hot here in the Philadelphia area, but we have international football on the television. We have cold beer, and summer one session's almost wrapped up. So looking forward to actually having 2 weeks off.
Excellent. Yes. Time off is a must, especially for those of us who are in the education field. All right, so let's just jump right in. We've had a fun tournament so far. I and all of us have been able to catch various games here and there, and I can say that the games I've watched, I've really enjoyed. Before I begin, though, couple things. I'm not going to do my normal thing of asking why Alexi Lalas is still on these shows because I find him to be insufferable. I won't do that. But
yeah, but would you say that Donovan is coming right behind him?
I actually think he's okay. I think he's okay. And this is the reason why. Landon Donovan in the booth, because he has no affect, really, in his demeanor, he's very... he just doesn't have it. But but I've always appreciated his insights into the game. I felt like I'd say next to Kyle Martino, he's probably the best American at explaining it in a manner that doesn't sound like you should already know it or I don't know what I'm talking about. And clearly we've already discussed this. Lalas has a way he likes to carry himself on television, and clearly it's working for him as he's continuing to get hired for these shows. But if you all will humor me, I'd like to just spend a little bit talking about the broadcast of this. And it maybe is just because it's Fox, and Fox seems to think they need to be provocative whenever they do soccer, like they were when they did football, when they first took over football those years ago, when they were really kind of weird. And then they were like, you know what, it's just football. We can just be normal. But for some reason with soccer, Fox seems to have this sort of, they want to be edgy, it seems to me sometimes. So I don't know. But Landon Donovan, Professor Matt, go ahead. I'm going to come to you next, G. But Professor Matt, let me give me your take on the telecasts in general, and because we have our staples of Ian Dark and
yeah. So
and,
by and large, I don't think the commentary's been crap, other than the aforementioned Alexei Lalas.
Mm-hmm.
Donovan's okay. He needs to shave his head though.
Oh God, does he?
And he looks like Bozo the Clown, but he actually has thoughts. And
yeah,
part of the problem with Alexei Lalas, besides just him, is, and I think I mentioned this on the group chat, he's a smug SOB.
Yeah.
And there's this, I have this specialized knowledge about what I don't think is necessarily, but has historically been a niche sport.
Right.
In the country.
Right.
I'm the oracle of this special knowledge. Landon Donovan seems like he wants to teach you.
Right.
But in a digestible sort of manner. So
right.
In terms of the commentary, I don't really have beef. My beef, however, is Fox in general. So, okay, you buy the television. I have thoughts about this. You buy the television rights for a major international tournament, but you siphon off a certain number of matches, particularly 9 a.m. kickoffs, that feature teams from Central and Eastern Europe. I see what you're freaking doing here.
Absolutely.
And you make them inaccessible. Now, I saw, and we'll talk about this, the Romania-Ukraine match, but that's only because I subscribe to something called Sport One. Literally, I watched it in Ukrainian. But like, come on, man. Like ESPN's coverage blew, but you got all of the content.
Right. No, that was blatantly obvious. It was blatantly obvious when I was trying to watch the Hungary game. I noticed that as well. I was like, interesting. And look, Landon Donovan, bro, I don't like to comment on aspects outside of the game, but that shave your head. Or because look, it's speculated, I was flipping through Reddit, they thought he was getting ready to get brain surgery because he's got some weird shaved thing on the side. Like, does he have a problem that we need to, not that we need to know about, but is there something, it looks like there's something going on. And I hope he's physically okay, because he got on the camera and I was like, whoa, did you just skip the makeup line before you got on TV, bro? I mean, I hope he's okay. And just to piggyback on what you said, though, I really appreciate the fact that he does share aspects of his time as a player simply to better explain why you saw what you saw. He'll say, as a player, you're seeing this at this part of the game, which is why that happened. And it's like, okay, I don't get that smugness from him where, I remember watching, our friend back in previous tournaments, and he's on there with, he's on TV with world-class players. Like, he's on there with Michael Ballack. He's on there with Chiellini. And, these are guys that have had, that their careers once lapse around yours, and you're acting like you are, the man. And it's just really like, bro, where's your humility, man? Where's your humility? I also want to say this about Chiellini. Yo, mad respect to come on an American TV channel and try to do some sort of analysis and commentary. His English is just not there yet, but mad respect. I know it's hard.
But he tries so much, and to hear an Italian, whatever, hear a defenseman and stuff like that, it's another perspective. He really enjoys America. He enjoyed the LA scene out there when he was out there.
He's still working for LAFC.
But he looked friggin' sharp. He looked like he could be in GQ. He still looked at Italian. But I'm glad that he's got enough confidence to put himself out there to speak to American audience where it's very broken. And you can hear he's trying to think of these words. But it's when I saw the same thing, you're talking down to this guy, Chiellini, you're talking, it's talking down to Chiellini. Everyone else who the hell are you? What accolades have you done in your career? You're an American national team where we're kind of getting to know what soccer is here. Well, these guys are winning championships left and right over there, and you're going to come off like you're the man. That's one reason why I just can't stand them. So luckily for me, I have I stream a package where I can watch English, any kind of game in the English commentary. So I've been watching a lot of the BBC and stuff like that because I just can't stand the Americans. I just don't like their outlook of soccer, especially Lawless. So Donovan, I love his knowledge, but he just talks like this and doesn't really change his fluctuations of his voice. So for me, it's kind of boring. I need a little bit up and down, a little bit more energy.
Yeah.
So I think you have the colorful.
I think you got to keep Landon in there, though. I think I like him. I do. Yeah. Go ahead, Matt.
He's leagues ahead. He might be monotone. He might be on the verge of becoming that old bald guy, but he's leagues ahead. And this goes back to what I was saying about ESPN. He's way better than a misinformed, disinterested Mike Tirico. Right? I would take Landon Donovan any day over him.
I would too.
And back to Chiellini, and you guys hit the nail on the head. His English is it's not great, but it's really good. But he seems way more plugged in.
Hmm.
Michael Ballack, was it the 2014 World Cup?
Yes, it was.
That was that was such, and I feel bad for him. But I think part of it too is, and I don't know, gee, how much Italian you know. The translation between English and Italian is a little bit more straightforward.
Hmm.
Sometimes is with German. So
Hmm.
like when Ballack would F up, it would F up constantly.
Oh yeah.
With the German that I knew, it was great. I'd play mental like, the hamster would be turning and I'd be like, I think I know what he meant to say, but he said literally what it would be translated in English, and it comes out so horribly wrong. Like the best was Russia was playing South Korea, and he tried to explain that the Russians had a height advantage, therefore, the physical aspect of the match they should have. And there's a German word for, let's say, less physical, but like a direct English translation is gentle. And so
Mm.
you have this German man in the studio being like, the South Koreans are very gentle people. And it's like, that sounds racist, but I know it's not.
Yeah, you gotta, and especially with the way
I'll
Michael
never
Ballack
forget that.
looked, it just looks it makes
Ear
so
flew
much
out my
sense.
nose. And my ex at the time was like, did he just say that? And I'm like, I think I know what he meant though.
Right, right. Well, I like the German girl.
She's
Um,
great.
she's very
But
good.
they didn't
Very.
they
Was she
have
Heinz? I have my knowledge
Didn't
of German is
didn't they
nothing.
have her there for the women's Euros, the women's World Cup? Because I've seen her before.
I'm sure. I mean, it's obvious she's done this before. I'm not gonna lie. I did not watch a single minute of the Women's World Cup because I just was unable to. And but but it was blatantly obvious that she's done this before
Yeah,
in for American commentators. And I love when she's on there. I think she's great. I think she's really really good.
and you
And
know what?
Fox is trying to find their own. I keep forgetting her name. Can't remember her name.
And you know what? And he's a newbie, and you can tell, but I think he's pretty good. Shout out to my boy Daniel Sturridge.
Daniel Sturridge.
Yeah,
See, but he's been on the NBC telecast before as well for Premier League. So he's
that's
done,
right.
yes,
That
he's a
shows,
little
yeah,
experienced, but I like him because he's the one that comes in with a little bit more pizzazz, a little bit more personality is kind of what you, yeah. If you could take a little bit of Daniel Sturridge and rub him off on Landon Donovan I could see he'd be much more entertaining for you. Okay, what's the name of the girl that does Champions League on CBS?
Rebecca something, right? No, no,
No,
no, no.
Rebecca Lowe.
this is this is gonna bother me.
I know who you're talking about, though.
I gotta figure this out. I'm sorry. This is really
And we call ourselves the experts around here.
I know, but for some reason my knowledge of names is just getting worse
I have
and
no
worse
idea.
and worse and worse, and it's really driving me nuts, man. Like, what is her name? But of course I'll remember it. I'll probably blurt it out when we're talking about some other team. I'm gonna go, that's her name, yeah. But yeah, I just feel like Fox could step up just a little bit more. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Gene.
that's what I want to say. It's hard to kind of build soccer and really get a huge fan base here, especially the international, and always show it here is crap. They have an opportunity to really get the international people here in America, but they choose not to show certain games. I know Chicago, probably Philly, and New York. You have a lot of Eastern Slavs out there that
Yeah,
want to see it, and they can't. So there's
and
some hidden political BS behind
And
this
they
stuff.
and they have the rights. This is crazy. They have the rights apparently in Canada as well.
Mm-hmm.
Western Canada, on Winnipeg, Edmonton. Yo, Romania, Ukraine. That's the match of the tournament because that's
Mm-hmm.
everybody's fucking grandfather.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
that's kind of I like how you said it's sort of short shelling, and there's that sort of Western centric bias there, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, absolutely.
And
So, oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Professor Matt.
no, I'm
Yeah. Well,
I
and
still
the
have
host
that to say.
Jules Breach, that she's the host of the it's almost like with the success of NBC's Premier League coverage, anytime there is a soccer host, it has to be now an English woman. It just has to be now. So they're like, oh, we got to find English. I'm wondering what ESPN's going to do because they still are shelling out the same people who they've had for a decade. Not saying they have to stop, but I like her. She's not. Her name is Kate Abdo. She's not Kate Abdo, but she's good. She's good. So it's funny how Rebecca Lowe's the one that does the NBC, and she's clearly the gold standard. But at least for American audience as a football host. But go ahead and get your English girl to come out here and give some commentary. But it's I feel like, I feel like they need to. I like when the host clearly knows a whole lot about the game and they let them talk about it. So I'm wondering if Fox isn't just letting her talk that much about it, because the other two hosts, they clearly talk a lot about it, especially Rebecca Lowe. It's obvious that she knows this game better than anybody. But so Fox, I guess our only note is to just maybe step your game up a little bit and come on, man. I think what's bugging me is Fox still seems to be under the notion that American fans don't really know the game that well, and that I'm sorry, it's not 1994 anymore, man. It's just not. It's not. And we have access to all the leagues in the world, and we all been watching it. And don't forget, 94, we were 16. We were 16 years old.
That's when Leslie Lawless was at his pinnacle. 94.
Exactly. 94, 95. Look, he's hanging on to that game in 95 when they beat Argentina, when they went to the Copa America, and Maradona went and shook all their hands, talked about how I didn't know Americans could play soccer that beautifully. And then they go to the 98 World Cup and lay a complete egg and look like the worst team that the Americans have ever schlepped out there. And then you see when they go to Japan 4 years later, none of those guys are there, which was the smartest thing to do. So sorry, that's what sticks in my mind about that squad, because we followed them very closely. And unfortunately, when that Copa America was aired on television, it was very difficult to watch on basic cable. So let's put a bow on that. That was fun. So
16 years old.
All right, well, let's move to the group stage. So Group 1, we had Germany, Switzerland, Hungary, and Scotland. Our first game was Germany-Scotland, which was really, I don't want to say there was no surprises, because there actually was a surprise. I didn't know it was going to be that bad, but Professor Matt, go ahead.
That is, and I think my pick, although there's a lot to play yet, is looking kind of good. Not because they beat Scotland. I think we all assume they beat Scotland. But, and it's been a while, and I checked. It's the last time the Germans really put a beating on a team like this in a tournament was, in fact, 7-1.
Oh, wow.
When Germany, when good Germany shows up, they're not nice.
Yeah.
They will put a 5-6 spot on you just to say that they can. And that's what made those German teams. And look, those German teams from about 2008 to 2014 were some of the most fun national teams I've ever seen. But part of what made them so good was they had this intimidation factor going for them before the opposition ever hit the pitch, because they would do stuff like this. They're like, okay, opening match. I think it was 2014 when they won the whole damn thing in Portugal, and they were just like, okay, Ronaldo, word.
Yeah.
You hold my beer.
Yeah.
We're gonna put this on notice. So
they stomped Brazil so bad that game that another goal for Germany is a saying now in Brazil when something's going really bad for you. So you actually created a new slang term after the whooping that they put on Brazil that game. That was scary.
And I want to say that Brazil never reeled from that. You can see this over the years. They're just kind of going downwards right now. I think that made it a major, because it was in Brazil, semifinals, and it just wrecked the shit.
And I think it was at Maracanã as well.
When we talk about the Copa, I'm sure that the long-term impact of that might come up.
That might come up, yeah.
But to piggyback what you said, though, once the hammer's down on the German team, they're going down. And that's just one huge example of that. You see that the fierceness in them, the blood that they want.
And I said this in the preview, I'll say it again. The German national team has functioned without a legitimate left back for the last decade.
Yeah, since Lahm retired.
I think in this kid Mittelstadt, they have that. And let's be real, part of the issue with certainly the Hansi Flick Germany teams, but even late stage Jurgi Löw was there wasn't a recognizable 11. I think Nagelsmann has a recognizable like these 11 guys are going to start. Maybe depending on the situation, Havertz sits bench, Full Creek starts up top. But like you know what the midfield five is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Is Timo Werner on the team? Because I really didn't hear his name and
No,
stuff like
No,
that.
he didn't make the squad.
He's
no.
awful.
And you know what? That was when I was starting to like do some prep. I was like, the fact that he isn't here, because let's be real, since he broke into the German national team, what have they done?
Nothing.
They haven't gotten past the groups.
He's phenomenal in the Bundesliga. He sucks in the BPL, but why would you even bring him? Whatever.
Look,
you can older guy right now. We have such a great youth of the Germans that's coming up.
I was going to say, look at the bench. Look at the German bench. I guarantee there's 5 guys you've never heard of unless you are following the Bundesliga. So they are definitely bringing in the new talent right now. And seeing what we saw this game, it's almost like you can just go, okay, you guys are all playing for second. Let's see how this shakes out. So let's go ahead and jump to the other game that we had with Switzerland and Hungary. Professor Matt, Hungary was your pick.
Yeah. I still have, and I hate to say this, it's probably going to come at the expense of Cam. I can still see them actually finishing in third place.
Oh yeah, I can too.
but here's the thing. Tournament Switzerland showed up.
Yeah.
That's as much as you looked at them in qualifying and were like, what is this? Do you have an 11? Are you playing 3 at the back? You're playing 4 at the back. Whenever they qualify for a major tournament, they're kind of like European Mexico. They will make it difficult in the groups, get out of the group, and then get bounced in the next round.
Right. But I'm telling you, Granit Xhaka had the best year of his career. At, what's he, 32, 33? 30, he's 31. He's had the best year of his career. And he is someone who has a lot of experience in this tournament as well as other international tournaments, and he's played against the best teams in the world. So if you have a guy who's on your squad, who's a little older, who's played in all this, he can get all the jitters and all the nerves out of everybody and go, nah, man, we know what we're doing here. We got a squad. Listen about it. We keep qualifying. Let's go make some noise. We got nothing to lose.
And that defense is pretty solid too.
Absolutely.
With in the back.
Keeper.
My one.
Yeah, keeper's good. Keeper's real good.
Yeah, Jan Sommer.
Mm-hmm.
My one question about them is if Embolo, who did come on and scored a goal late in that match, if he's not healthy, where are the goals coming from? Because I think they caught Hungary by surprise there in the first half, and then the Hungarians did a pretty good job of closing up shop. If Mbolo's healthy, we'll see, because he's good.
Well, this is gonna, I think basically we're seeing is the teams that aren't playing Germany at that time. That's the game to watch for this group, because I really do feel like Germany's gonna roll out of this one and get 9 points, because they're not gonna sit back for a game and go, okay, well, we got 6, we're in. They're gonna try to stomp to get 9. Let's move on to Group B. So with Group B, I am going to say that my surprise of this tournament is actually Spain. I didn't expect Spain to look that good. I didn't. And so I thought Spain looked fantastic. Looked absolutely fantastic. Professor Matt, go ahead.
Was that so much? And look, I'm not taking anything away from Spain. Was that just really good Spain, or was that sort of trash Croatia?
I think outside of Lawless, who trashed Croatia, called them a bunch of old guys, which was like beyond disrespectful. I think you saw a Spanish team that felt like they're being disrespected and were trying to prove that they are one of the favorites of this tournament. And I also think that the Croatian team, I mean, look, they did look a little tired. They did. And I think I think Croatia is actually going to finish probably third or fourth in this group. I mean, I would not be surprised if they get out of here with 1
I
point.
could see them finishing the match against Albania tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Going to be very interesting.
But see, Albania
what
threw something at your boys real quick, G. And yeah, they settled in and took over because, yeah, you're right. The Italian team is kind of, new. There's a new squad of boys. But, yo, I just want to say this, too. I said this in the chat, and I'm going to say it again. Yamal for Spain for being almost 17. Wow. Wow. I was watching him a lot that game, and I was absolutely blown away.
He looked so confident. He looked relaxed. Like a 16-year-old looked like he was there for at least 2 big tournaments by himself.
Barcelona's going to have to sell a whole lot more of their property in order to keep that kid because they better, because he could revitalize that whole team. He's that good. He's so poised and calm, too. Almost scored, had an assist, and was owning the wing. Just owning it. And he, a lot of these 16-year-old kids you see in there, they look like they weigh about $105. And he just didn't look like, I mean, you could always spot, okay, there he is. He's right there. Number, 97. You know what I mean? He came out, and yes, I know that some of the more traditional Spanish starters are hurt right now, are not starting right now, but they were like, nah, kid, we picked you up here. We're not doing a Theo Walcott with you. You're going to play. And he went out there and played, and he looked fantastic.
He gives them a slightly different dynamic, too, because even though he is a Barcelona product, he is, like, in some very real ways, the anti of tiki-taka. Correct. And that's what Spain's been missing, because once there was a blueprint created about how to stop that, either press it or do what the Russians did in 2018 and be like, we're playing with 5-man midfield.
That's right.
Sideways,
and it worked, man.
And it worked beautifully. It was like, well, we can't press you, but we can build a freaking wall.
Yep.
Once the blueprint came in, they've been very predictable. This new Spanish generation it's going to be very interesting because they're still doing aspects of that, but it is more direct. It is more penetrating.
And you see them with a little chip on their shoulder too, like they're out to prove something right now. I think the last tournament, I think they were in the semifinals. They lost to, I don't know, some team like there, but it took a very experienced team to deep into, I think, 100-something minute or something like that, or even a shootout. I don't remember. But it was just like they're my dark horse of possibility of, because you see the Spain just building and building. And just imagine being a 16-year-old. Hey kid, we're gonna invite you to this national team. All right, cool. I'm gonna be on the bench. I'm starting. You're that good. Where the coach really puts that much respect, and he knows your game. And sure enough, he looked like he was there for at least 20, 30 years just playing. But it was just phenomenal. So yeah, watch out for Spain. And I hate to be like this. Probably Italy's going to lose against them, but we'll still get second place. But yeah, Spain is going to be a very dark horse going up to the semifinals and not the finals.
But let's jump to the Albania-Italy game then, G. That segue. Go ahead, G. Go ahead. tell me about that game, because I know that game at first you were like, okay, here we go.
I was a little shocked too. I just sat down like, oh shit, they just scored. I go, 23 seconds. I'm like, oh my God. And luckily, Italy's got enough skill, and they looked phenomenal once they kind of rebounded and finally pulled their head out of their culo, right? So it's just one of those things that luckily they have the experience of prior tournaments. Yeah, they don't have their center backs, the 2 Hall of Famers, and they should be, their boots should be bronze and gold and all that stuff, bronze and gold, or dipped in gold. But you have this kind of revival, and I kind of been seeing this. I think them not going into the World Cup a couple years ago and put a little all right, we need to now get ourselves back to where we were. And you see this progress. Chiesa is one of my favorite players right now on the planet. He controls the game so much. And I just saw something like Bayern Munich's trying to look at him after his contract's up. It's like, I would love for him to stay in Serie A. He's such a face for the Italian, just for the grassroots, but also for Serie A, especially for the national team. He is an amazing, amazing talent. Borelli, who scored that friggin' rocket one-timer when the upper left-hand corner, if you're the goalie up the right-hand corner. But you just the skill of these guys, it's unbelievable. It's good to see this turnaround. But yeah, Albania is going to put up a fight. Most of these Eastern European teams, there's such a different style than the Western. Eastern's all about, we're going to hit you, we're going to hit you, we're going to hit you. Then we're going to score, and we're going to hit you and hit you and hit you. We're like Spain, Italy, France. There's a little bit more of a beautiful game while they're going to attack you. So it's a different style between finesse, playing it very beautifully, and we're going to hammer you. I think once Italy kind of figured that out, because most of the Albanians, I believe, play in the Serie A to begin with.
Of them do,
so they're very familiar of just the style of play. So that was a really good matchup between them. Now, looking forward, when we have Albania versus Croatia, that's going to be a really good game because both of them are going to be fighting for third place, possibly second, but definitely going to be for third place. I think Albania, if they do win, it'll be a huge national celebration because they haven't been really into these big tournaments. Croatia, like you guys talked about with Spain, it looks like the teams are just going two different directions. Spain's on the way up, and this the old Croats are just, they're old. But you said it perfectly. They look tired at the end, where Spain, the youth, they kept on going. So that's going to be one of the factors of this kind of depleting Croatian team that's going down right now.
Let's say this, though, about this Albanian team, too, though. It's like, look at the number of caps that this team has. These guys are like 29, 30, 31, which is a very good age, especially for your defense. But these guys have 80 caps, 50 caps, 30 caps, 20 caps. These are guys who've been playing together for a little while. You don't have a lot of guys out there that are just scratching the surface. So this is good for the Albanian team, but playing against a Croatian team who knows this is basically it.
Yeah.
Look, Luka Modric is not going to save you guys at 40 anymore. He's just not going to do it. So there is an opportunity for Albania here to really kind of steal one, I'd say, and show that they can actually, hopefully, I'm not going to say qualify for the next round, but make the group interesting. Go ahead, Professor Matt.
And I think that they have a pretty good chance because one thing we learned in the Italy match is, and I believe me, I was at the other end of this in qualifying with Poland. They're very efficient on the counterattack. They defend well, and they're deadly on the counter. Mm-hmm. Croatia, yeah, okay, they look quote-unquote old at the end of that match, particularly the midfield. But the real problem there was, you know who they're missing, and they've never really replaced them. If you put peak Mandzukic on this Croatia, that match against Spain looks very different. Budica sucks. I don't know where the goals are coming from.
Right.
It's cagey. It's 0-0, 70th minute. Look, all the Albanians need is one moment of magic.
Right, exactly. But the fact that they don't have to play with the ball. Mm-hmm. That's they don't have to. I think that probably did, and it didn't work as well against Italy, but you can't expect that it would. But at least when it comes to playing against a team that's a bit vulnerable right now, playing against a team that could probably, but I'm not going to count Croatia out. I'm just saying that, and yes, we have to understand they were playing against Spain, but I think we have to look at this Croatian team and say, yes, but you had chances to level, you had chances to score. But when you're in between those chances, it didn't seem like you were building up to creating anything. It was more of we have a chance, we have to take advantage. You guys get what I'm saying here? So that's probably why I was a little bit like, this wasn't the Croatian team I was expecting to see. But we'll see. I think you are right. This Albania Croatia game. I think you said it's tomorrow.
That's tomorrow.
Yeah. That's going to be probably
which they actually are televising.
Good. Yeah. Good. I think that's you're right. That's probably going to be one of the more pivotal games because it's this group, because third place teams do qualify. So this could be a very pivotal game to see if they can get to the round of 16. Go ahead, G.
And it's one of those things that I think if Albania gets that third spot, it's going to be huge for the next tournament. I think what they're doing right now, they're just building for the future, and the future looks kind of bright right now. You saw the fans there. Oh, my God, were they chanting, flags everywhere. They have a huge following. So I think if they can win against Croatia and keep it somewhat close to Spain, they might have a chance, which I think for the next tournament, they might be moving on, if not number 2.
Yeah,
And
it's
in terms of the long-term development, because I agree 100% with you, G, and this is a particularly Eastern European concern. Before this tournament, most of us didn't know any of these guys on this team. If
mhm,
you go to a tournament and you advance, this is how you get those players who are maybe in middling leagues or playing domestically. This is how you get them to England, to France,
mhm,
Spain. And the more you have guys, not like kids,
mhm.
but 22, 23-year olds making those jumps, that improves the national team. There's this
Absolutely.
myth that, if you have a whole bunch of guys playing domestically, you'll have a good national
Yeah,
team.
that's we
That's
love to
that's
believe that.
that's wrong. I
Yeah.
that's just wrong.
That's
That's
only true. That's only true for Italy, Spain, and England. That's it. It's
yeah,
not true for any other country.
exactly. And if you're
Don't say it's true for France because it's not.
if you're Eastern European, that's called stagnation. That's
Hmm.
what that's called.
Yep. Yep.
And I think I said that last week is like a lot of these smaller teams, some of the players who are good, this is a showcase to get them to Western to make that money to build the program. So when you see these, who is this 18-year-old kid on Georgia? Who he's getting a name right now. You get his name out there and you're getting the recognition. A smaller team, let's say, whatever, in the English Premier, Brentford. Yeah, they're up there, but just get him the experience. I think it's
Hey,
huge. So this is one of those tournaments. Just get the exposure and see how it's going to build the federation in the
absolutely.
future.
The kid that came on for Ukraine towards the end against Romania, who incidentally plays for Brentford. Gee, Brentford, the step up, unless you're playing for Shakhtar Dynamo Kiev, the step up from a mid-table UPL team to Brentford is huge.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah.
so
All right.
And we do see these Eastern European in the lower teams in the EPL and stuff like that. So it's I hate to be like this. It's kind of like Americans. We're slowly getting over there, which is going to build our to
Yeah.
keep up with the big boys. So it's
I
a
think
recipe
I
that
think
does
you're
work.
exactly right. I think you're exactly right. Americans don't like to be compared to anyone, but that could not be more true, I think. And in fact, I think we're actually even behind some of these other countries when it comes to that type of exposure because we still think that, Josh Sargent's a starting center forward for a national team. All right. Let's move on to I don't know. I think this group was I don't know. Netherlands, Poland, Slovenia, Denmark. Um, I
but England, Serbia.
Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
England,
have my
Denmark, Slovenia,
I have it in the wrong stack. I'm sorry. So we have England, Denmark, Slovenia, Serbia. England, 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 England,
England's
England.
England. Yeah. Like you should
Sorry,
be
man.
blowing out 5-0 right now, but they're
No, no,
England.
no, 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 no. Look. I'm not gonna dump on Serbia. I'm not gonna dump on Serbia.
No, neither am I.
But
But you have this talent
England,
of
y'all
a
should have won
team.
that game. I'm sorry, dude. Phil, where'd you go, brother? Where'd you go? Oh my God, he disappeared.
I,
He disappeared. I sat there and felt like Phil, I hope you're not looking over at Jude Bellingham going, but I'm the Premier League player of the year. Why isn't anybody talking about me? That's what it seemed. And Phil, I'm probably totally wrong. I'm not dissing you. It's just from the internet, that's what they made you look like, brother. And I hope it's not true. But look, there's no such thing as being not in your position when you're Phil Foden. Because you've played everywhere at Manchester City. You'll get lots of guys who like to overanalyze, including some of our own buddies, who love to overanalyze where he should be or should not be playing. And he's gone out to place Bukayo Saka, blah, blah. No. Phil Foden can play anywhere in the top six. He can. He just did not step it up this game. That's my opinion of the whole thing. But one of y'all jump in, because that's like England. Look, man, you got probably the best player in Europe right now. Right now, he's on your team. It is not Mbappe. It is Jude Bellingham. What are you going to do to support that guy?
So, and this is going to be a reoccurring theme, especially when we get to Portugal, and to the U.S. men's national team before the night's over. Gareth Southgate. Look, I said it in the group chat. Bellingham has played here, there, everywhere. He's played different systems, etc. Wherever he goes, he balls out. Phil Foden, maybe he's just one of those guys.
Maybe
Like,
he's just a pep guy.
Well, exactly. And like we've seen this before. Sergio Aguero, as good as he was in the
Yes.
EPL, was an ordinary, bare ordinary player for Argentina.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. So
Mm-hmm.
like maybe we've just seen this, but like the tactics and the funny thing is in the first 15 minutes they worked just fine. England scored a goal
Mm-hmm.
and Serbia adjusted. By the way, shout out Serbian manager Dejan Stojkovic, guy who I hadn't thought about in like 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I remember him. He used to be the captain of a place called Yugoslavia. It doesn't exist anymore.
Just
So
imagine if it did though right now. The talent of that team.
Don't
Woo!
worry, that's going to get reposted at the end of the
yes,
summer. We're going to get
yes.
our next history lesson with Professor Matt because
If
that
you
is
guys
one of the
have not
most.
seen the podcast,
That's
Professor
one of
Matt,
the
all
most.
that,
It's
phenomenal.
one of the most compelling soccer history pods you'll ever hear. Professor Matt, I'm telling you, it's fantastic. And I said it when you put it out, and I say it every time. It's great. It's fantastic.
But so you have, first of all, and he wasn't horrible, but like there's a ticking time bomb in that defense at left back. Like Shaw is clearly still not healthy. Trippier wasn't terrible, but I'm not certain if that balance in that back four works.
Yeah.
I thought your boy Rice was good. I thought Trent would. I'll defend my man, but here's where
I
this.
thought Kyle Walker was fine.
But this is
I thought
where,
Kyle Walker played fine.
Oh, Walker was okay. I'm worried about the balance again.
Yeah.
Trippier's not a left back.
No, he's a right back. He's a right back. Absolutely.
I'll defend my boy to a point. When England has the ball, Trent in the double pivot with Rice works. If England doesn't have the ball, he can't be there.
Mm-hmm.
And it took, Southgate a while to figure that out. But then it got perplexing. So you take Trent off. The obvious, I need to get control of the midfield. I hate to say it, is Coach Matt's boy or Mike's boy, Kobe Manu, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why you bring on Conor Gallagher?
Yeah.
A guy who just runs. Like that's not control. That's anti-control.
No, he's pushing up. He's standing next to Harry Kane.
Yeah, and I'm going to get to him in a second. Look, Kane. I'm not going to hate on Kane. I'm not one of those guys. I like I like certain things he does. But here's where I don't know if this really works for England. If you're going to play Jude at the 10, you have to sit Harry down and be like, yo, stop dropping back so far. We need to be closer to goal. Because otherwise, this is just not going to work. I thought, other than Bellingham, England's best player was Saka, who was making run after run, but with no link-up play.
Right.
For strikers all the way back here dancing around. That's what I saw. Look, 3 points is 3 points. It's not how you necessarily start a tournament. It's momentum that you build. But let's say tactically there are some like concerning.
I don't know why England and France do this every tournament. They always do this. They come out of the gate and everyone is hyping them up. And then after the first game, everyone's like, oh, here we go.
I think we'll talk about this when we talk about France.
But
I think France, it's less on the manager than because a lot of England's malfunction was unfortunately not, and that's bad.
Yeah. G, go ahead, brother.
I still don't know why Southgate's the manager. It's just like here
because Big Sam got fired.
I know, but how about Carlos Antonetti? Like, we have so many other people.
You can't hire a foreigner because the British Empire still lives, and he's the best guy available.
Perfect. That's why England will always be England. Like, there's something they just can't get over that hump, and like they might want to look somewhere else. But like, we see Marsh in Canada. I would like to have Marsh maybe in America. Whatever, we'll talk about that later. But like, when you have these great
we're definitely gonna talk about that later.
And these coaches are I don't say sabotaging, but they just don't know what they have in front of them and how to work the formations and who works best where. Like, your number one job is the national team. So all you do is take notes and go to these individual games. How do you not know who you have? So is it the assistant coaches as well? Is it the whole coaching staff? But it's just like England is just England.
There's two things there. It's funny you bring up assistant coaches. Ben White should be on this team, but
Agreed.
that dude from Chelsea, who's Southgate's buddy, like apparently
can't stand him.
Yeah, can't stand
him. And Ben White is like giving them the double salute, and he's like, "Fine, I don't need this."
And let me tell you, Ben White would aid this team a lot, and it's weird. So, like, part of my
Ben White can play. He can play center half, so you don't have to start this guy that I don't even know how to pronounce his name. You could start Ben White there.
He's going to have a chip on his shoulder for next season, which is phenomenal for us Arsenal fans because he's like, I'm going to prove you all wrong why you never picked me.
He already knows that. Go ahead.
I know,
go ahead.
But it's going to be more, so it's going to work in our favor. But yeah, how do you not pick him?
I wasn't going to bring it up. I was going to bring up Ben White. That's a sore spot, but you know.
And it's weird because for so many years I've called Southgate safe gate. This is the tournament that he does finally switch things up. But when you look at it, it's like, but why did you make these changes? Why did you bring only one left back? This is going to sound crazy. I'm going to sound like a freaking Man United fan. Okay, so Foden maybe isn't great on the left, or at least in this formation. You brought Gordon. Okay, cool. Why didn't you bring your boy Rashford just to have something different on the bench? Rashford should not start, but that match, like in the 70th minute, was screaming for Marcus Rashford.
I don't know why they brought Ivan Toney.
Oh, he's there. But he was.
Ivan Toney has barely played.
He will not. Yeah.
He's barely played, and you have Ollie Watkins. You don't need Ivan Toney. You know, I'm not saying that Tony's like not good. I'm just saying he hasn't played. You were suspended for half the year because you were a gambling issue. So, but like, you can't say England's front six though is not amazing. I mean, look at this front six. Look at it. I mean, that's probably the most expensive front six in the tournament. And so, I'm going to do a show on Saturday if anybody would like to join me, and hopefully I will have a much different thing to say. But I'm done. I'm sorry. I'm done. Go ahead, G. I'm done. It's so frustrating because, like, I don't know why. I know that I have English ancestry, and I'm not the biggest England supporter, but I support England, and it drives me nuts that this team is having their, like, when has England been this talented? When have they been this talented? They're so talented. They're so good right now. Yeah. They're so good. Like,
so I'm gonna change the teams because I can see you're getting frustrated and whatnot. I like Denmark. I kind of like how they play.
I like how they play too. I like how they play.
I think their system works very well for the players they have. They're not flashy, but they just work very well. I know they tied Slovenia, but they have this ability where they can turn it up and just conquer the entire game. So Denmark is looking pretty strong. I see them competing Serbia as well. England, I think they'll give England a huge run for their money. They have a lot of the EPL players on Denmark as well and stuff like that. Schmeichel's, I love Schmeichel, by the way. He's on the team and everything. Like, you have these quality players. They're just not flashy names like England. Denmark can take this game to England and hopefully win. But watch out for Denmark. Just getting out, not going too far.
I understand. I agree. Don't sleep on Slovenia.
I was just
go ahead, Professor Matt. Don't sleep on those boys. I was shocked. I was like, oh, okay. Never heard of any of these guys because I don't have much time to watch soccer, but I gotta start paying attention now.
Jan Oblak is still a top 5 goalkeeper
Absolutely.
in the world. They've had the same manager since 2018. There's continuity. Everyone knows what to do. And
they're workers.
They are workers.
Yeah.
You did not see it so much, and this is a credit to Denmark to stifling him. But if you watch that game, you saw those little runs Benjamin Sesko makes up front. England's defense, he might be looking at, the gaping hole left without, Harry Maguire and Ben White, and being like, okay, I could put one or
I
two.
can get one in there.
I think this group is weirdly wide open.
I can't. And it shouldn't be.
I know,
But
I
I
know.
agree. I agree. We've all seen. Listen, we know that it's so funny. Like I can never, ever, 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 ever forget. Ian Dark's. That's his name, right? Darka. Um, yeah. His commentary for the Iceland game
Oh,
was legendary. I'm sorry, it was legendary. That game that they lost, he's lost all ability to be a impartial commentator, and he is just throwing hand grenades at England. And I could see him commentating a game against Slovenia and have Slovenia go up 1-0 in the first 20 minutes of the game and him just start to lose it a little bit. And I'm like, this guy, I love him. Every time I see him, he's on the mic. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be great. That guy, he is, I feel like he's at the same level for me as Martin Tyler, except he has a little bit more energy and he's much more fun to listen to as opposed to the low, soothing, I don't want to say I can't think of the word for it for Martin Tyler's commentary, and I just want to hear him on one of these England games when England's struggling because it's just the best. And I could see easily that happening this particular tournament. But I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But we'll see. But let's jump to Group D. Let's talk about Netherlands and Poland first. None of us are really high on Netherlands, and Nat, you and Chelsea Mike have been very clear about the issues and the challenges of the Poland national team. And I mean, they are consistent qualifiers now, but they seem to come to these tournaments and really have no idea how to perform at this level. So why don't you jump in and if you guys have anything to say about this one, it was a decent game,
yeah.
but yeah,
At that point, it was the most competitive game we had
yeah.
seen. I think that this match really showed you everything you need to know about both of these teams. Poland's going to be a pain in the ass because we are going to defend. Chesney, even though he has a mistake or two in him on his day, is a very good keeper.
I still say Arsenal should have never gotten rid of him.
And
I'll say that to forever.
but
They shouldn't have gotten rid of him.
it's going to it's going to
So
sound
cheap.
weird. We're kind of in a weird way like the higher end, but maybe actual B Tech version or the used car version of Albania. We need to hit you on the counter or on some kind of set piece. Now we should have Lewandowski back in the next match, which I think will help.
Mm.
But yeah, you saw all of our strengths, but also all of our weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to make of the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Like you look
I
at
like
you look at the names in the back, Van Dijk, Ake.
Yeah.
There were times if Lewandowski played, that may end 2-2.
Mm-hmm.
There were look, I've watched enough Virgil van Dijk. I know his body language. And there was a lot of what are you doing? Yeah. Like the front three, the movement's really excellent. But you have to bring on Veghorst, who's a Christmas tree, to score goals. Like the fact that Memphis Depay is somehow, can someone explain how
Yeah.
is the Netherlands' second highest goal scorer? Because that is mind boggling.
And he's their center forward?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Gabko looked pretty good on the left.
Gakpo's consistent. He's
The
very
right-
consistent.
I think he needs to just find a position. I don't know what they're doing on the right. Like, is their right winger Javi Simmons? Like, they had Dumfries playing out there at points in the game. Like, there's the Dutch are. I think I can say this. They're going to get past the groups. I don't know. There's a universe where I could see them going to the semifinals. There's a universe that they get bounced in the round of 16.
Mm-hmm.
Get bounced badly.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're very talented. They do some things really well, but man, are they awfully flawed.
Well, I think they're going to get tested seriously by Austria, and I could actually see Austria winning that game. Let's go to Austria, France. France did it again, where France seems to play at the level of their opponent, especially when their opponent is a bit lower than they are on the, I'd say on the, I guess on the FIFA table of the FIFA rankings. I was looking at a team that basically was saved by the return of N'Golo Kante.
Yeah.
That's really what I saw. I saw a lot of players that didn't seem to know exactly where they were supposed to be. I saw a lot of players doing, like, I guess, trying to be masterful individually and not really looking to create a lot of plays. I saw a frustrated Mbappe. I also saw an Mbappe miss probably the easiest chance he's ever had in an international goal, which was surprising. But you look at that French team still, though, and you're going like, these guys are just like, dang, like this is they have the best player at every position, like all the time. And I mean, look, I can honestly say if they did not have N'Golo Kante playing this game, they probably would have drew this game.
But look how they scored, though.
Yeah.
It's an own goal.
It's an own goal.
If that never happened, God only knows. And yeah, Mbappe on a breakaway by himself, Mr. Hotshot number one.
And it wasn't even that close.
Yeah, and you miss it like 5 feet, 6 feet away.
Yeah.
And the goal barely even moved.
I'm not a hater. I'm not an Mbappe hater, but I was like, bro.
I agree with that. He is still a human. He's not going to hit that 1,000,000% of the time. We expect him to.
Right.
However, he is human, and yeah, he should have done that anyways. But
it's weird because, and we have to talk about the elephant in the room, which is his face is broken.
Yeah, that was coming out. I was going to bring it up at the end.
But like, he effectively was playing out of position most of that match.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and again, I'm probably just feeding lions, juicy meat right now. Marcus Thuram, who I like, I don't think he's a center forward.
No.
Is it possible, especially if Mbappe does miss some time, you see more of Olivier Giroud in this squad because they looked more threatening when he was up top. I know he can't do it for a full 90 minutes, but he can give you.
You're talking to two. You're talking a huge. We are big Giroud stands, boy. We are Giroud stands. I love that guy. Yeah. I absolutely love that guy. And Mbappe is out. He's not playing the next game. He is out. Broken nose, but he's not going to have surgery.
And there is some question even about the Poland match because
right.
So without surgery, it's with a mask you can do. I think it's 8 days. Problem is the quick turnaround with the matches.
But they don't need him now. They don't. I'm telling you. I know Olivier Giroud's 37, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
But this is the
difference. He doesn't
difference.
have to score to be he's the only center forward who I would start no matter what and go, bro, you don't have to score. I don't know why. Him being on the field, the way he's able to take up space, the way he's able to pull defenders, the hold up play, and the way he's able to track back. Yep. I think he's deceptive in that because you don't expect a guy who is probably 190 to 200 pounds at 6'4", and who makes sure his hair is perfect before he steps on the pitch to play the not dirty is the wrong word, to do the hard work that he does. Yep. And then when you lose sight of him and you forget about him and it's the 80th minute, because how many times did he do this for us, G? Yep. Bam, he scores a goal.
Everything you just said
scores a goal.
Why I love him. That's why
I love him. I love him.
He brings something different. And talking about, I'm going to link them with Croatia. When you are waiting on your stud of players, your entire team falls apart. You expect them to carry you to, like Luka Modric, Mbappe. We put all the pressure on them, and they can't do it. You get them out, and the team's better. And as you see that in all sports, even at the
Addition by subtraction.
the team that I used to play on, when you take that one step up, it's a different team, and you actually play better. So I do like Giroud coming in here, and like you said, he's a scrappy guy. He can hold the ball up and also make it runs off. He can move the defense just by his movement. He is very IQ smart when it comes to soccer. He does not get the credit that he deserves by any means.
And
too.
I think this is a big difference between the France and the England setup. Deschamps will take Mbappe's absence, see what works, what doesn't work, and then once Mbappe comes back, integrate the best parts of that. That's why I was sort of hinting at maybe you see more Mbappe at his natural position out left when he comes back, and Giroud at least start the game up top.
That's what they did when they won the World Cup.
Yes,
that's what they did.
Why change it?
I think that front four of Giroud, Mbappe, either Thuram or Dembele. May I just say, Dembele is the most wasteful goddamn player. So I brought up Giroud, and you two Arsenal fans are like, the Kool-Aid man. I'm going to bring up something that will give you heartburn. You know who he reminds me of? Pepe. There's a whole lot of dribbling for a whole lot of nothing.
I'm going to keep my mouth.
But I think maybe moving them around, and look, Griezmann, even with a big cut on his head. Sorry about that, guys.
Nah, it's okay.
But that front four, I think works.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just want to say this too. The fact that N'Golo Kante, who's been hurt for like the past 4 years, runs down wingers in the 84th minute with his and just takes the ball away. Like he was never hurt. The guy's 33 years old and he's been battling injuries. And he comes back and he has the performance that he had. Like, you're sitting there going, here we go. We're seeing it again. We're seeing that 80% of the world's covered by the ocean. The other 20% is covered by N'Golo Kante. You're seeing that again. You're seeing that the best midfield trio in the world is N'Golo Kante. You're seeing it again. And that is what can carry France to win this tournament. If they keep him upright and don't burn him out, maybe if they got 6 points, sub him out in the third game, they can, like, you can ride N'Golo Kante to win this. We've seen teams ride him to win World Cup. We've seen him ride him to get to finals don't forget, they've been to 2 European finals, and we've seen them ride him to get to Champions League finals as well and Champions League. We've seen this. And when I watched that game, everybody was like, here we go. We've seen this before, and I think we're seeing it again. So if you listen to this show go listen like 5 years ago, you can hear me and Mike say, like, I think he's the best player at his position than anybody else is at their position for a time. I mean, it was amazing. And to see him back, the French team has to go, okay, it's now like 11 on 13 again. Okay, now the midfield knows they can take a little bit more risk, because you didn't know. I was shocked they started him. I was shocked that he was even starting. So this will be to see what's going to change between the first game and the second game in France. I think a lot is going to be different. I do. It's with the injury and seeing what you have with Kante being back, and the fact that I thought goalkeeper played well. I forgot his name. I thought he looked good. So I think you're going to see some changes here.
And potentially even the center back pairing, because I gotta be honest, I heard a lot of people, be like, oh, Saliba didn't play all that well, and I'm like, but he was babysitting Upamecano.
I was gonna say, you can get Upamecano out of there. Don't say nothing about Saliba.
I think the Saliba Konate pairing.
I agree.
Way to go, because
Upamecano's.
I can't trust that guy.
No, and that's been the opinion on him for a while. So, I Deschamps, I'm not going to question him. I mean, the guy's proven that, shut up. He knows what he's doing. But I don't be surprised if that changes either. Because one thing I like about Deschamps is he's not afraid to go, you didn't play well last game. Sit down. So, All
So
right,
real
this is
quick
taking. Go ahead.
before we move on, as an Arsenal player, imagine us 3 years ago, 4 years ago, the names that we're saying that who are on Arsenal right now are leading these international teams. Saliba, we're talking about him. We're talking about Ben White. We're talking about all these guys that 3 years ago for Arsenal, we never had anything like that whatsoever. So it's nice that our team is going on the upslope right now, but it's good that they're getting this international play and they're starting.
Okay, stop, Jay. We're not talking about Arsenal right now.
Yeah, I'm just saying, but we're right there. But it's good that they're carrying their international teams too. Saliba is controlling the defense, and he hasn't had that much international. He's been on the bench a lot. But now he's really getting the starts right now, and that's huge for us Arsenal fans. But also for him as a young leader who, like you said, he's babysitting the guy over here. He's coming more of an area than he did in Arsenal, and he had success. That's when they overlooked.
They were gonna start Konate and Upamecano together. That's what they were. That's and the uproar was palpable about that potential starting pair. So to see that they were like at least put Saliba in there was come on, that guy's the best center half right now in the Premier League. So come on, man, get it right. But let's move on to the final two groups. The final two groups.
Do we want to talk about Austria real quick?
Okay, yeah, you know what, we should, because they deserve it. They deserve to get some shine. Yeah,
it's weird. And first of all, shout out Ralph Radnick for turning a group of underachievers into something that's pretty good on the pitch.
Mm-hmm.
Been kind of decent though.
Well, here's the thing. So like watching that match was weird because I could easily have seen that ending 1-1. Because let's be real, when Conte wasn't bossing the midfield, Austria's midfield was retaining the ball. Like their pressing was excellent. What I do think will be this team's undoing someplace, because watching Austria was so familiar coming from 9 years of Jurgen Klopp Liverpool. But if you're gonna play heavy metal football, like their overall team speed is shockingly bad. Like that's the one thing. Like I like what he's trying to do. I don't know if it works with guys like Schlager and who's the Bayern Munich dude? Konrad Leimer?
Conrad, the midfield.
Yeah, like I get it. It's like I see what you want to do, but I don't know. But I could see them beating the Netherlands.
Yeah,
I can see that too. Lucky break here and there, kind of park the bus a little bit.
Yeah,
I can see that. They've always been kind of a dark horse. They don't even have their number one starter, right?
Yeah, Alba's.
He's like in the tournament, and so like they do have a chance, and he's a phenomenal player. But without them, they don't look that bad, so they could do a little damage right now.
Also, these tournaments are great for like remembering people that you only remember every 4 years.
Hey, Marko Arnautovic.
Yes, exactly. He came on. I haven't thought about you in 4 years.
I was like, didn't you go to China?
Yeah.
I was so happy to see him. I really was. I was so happy to see him. I was like, there he goes, man. Play with West Ham. There he goes. Yeah, he's like 35, 36 now, but it was cool to see him come out on the pitch because you're right. The cool thing about this, you do see guys that you have not seen or thought about in years. Now they pop up and you're on the bench or something. You're like, oh my God, there's that guy.
That guy.
Yeah. That was a lot of fun to see him out there. So again, this is the reason why I wish Coach Match was on here, because what we saw from Belgium is a team that don't enjoy playing together. That's really what we saw from them.
They can't finish. They cannot score a goal.
No, they can't. They can't.
All the opportunities and ping pong inside the 6, and you can't finish it. Like, come on, guys. Like, that's why you are Belgium.
And look, they weren't tested that much by Slovakia. But I keep it real. When Belgium was at their best, that back line, those Spurs guys, Vincent Kompany, they're very good. I didn't realize their starting center back is that Sideshow Bob looking dude from Leicester City, Ferres.
Wood Ferris?
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, the guy who scored the 2 own goals for my team like 2 years ago. This shows you how they've regressed. Like that. If the Romania that sacrificed Ukraine shows up, the World Cup was bad for them.
Mm-hmm.
This may be the final nail in the coffin.
Yeah. Well, I
And
also
look,
think
Slovakia-
you're seeing the end of this generation. When look, De Bruyne is already talking about playing in the MLS or playing in Saudi Arabia. You don't say that until you're going, hey, I've been kind of beat up lately. Let me go make one big splash of money before I hang it up. I think De Bruyne is going to be done playing football by the time he's 36. I think he's just going to be he's going to have it because he's got nothing left to prove. Dude, you've won everything.
but he's had
At
major
least
injuries.
club-wise.
Yeah, major injuries.
He's beat up. He's been beat up.
Years.
Yeah, he can't stay healthy. So I could see him being done. And so it's like, okay, you have Doku, and look, Lukaku is a shell of what he used to be, and yet he's still your starting center forward. So I just think and after everything Coach Matt said about it, and everything basically coming true, because he couldn't have been more right.
Well,
I think we're seeing the end of Belgium, and I will be shocked if they get out of this. If they finish dead last in their group, I wouldn't be surprised.
And it's magnified too. He didn't start. You're Tillman.
You beat me to it.
Yeah, no, it's just me or this when he puts on that Belgian kit, he looks completely disinterested. It's like, why am I here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's a phenomenal player, but yeah, he's like,
but he also has trouble staying in shape. And the reason why Arsenal didn't go for him was because they were like, bro, you're not really physically there.
I don't want to pick on, but no, I'm gonna pick on. Screw it. He was hanging out with freaking Hazard too much, man.
Yeah, yeah, he has, man.
International friendly.
Right.
Got subbed off, bounced, left the freaking stadium, went out and had a burger and beers with his family.
Right.
Years later was like, that burger was the greatest thing.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. I get there was a time he was one of the 3 best players in the world. If I'm the Belgian manager, I'm like, dude, you have to at least stay on the bench, then have your burger. Don't bounce. No, you can't play anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Burger is the best thing ever, man.
Professor Matt, what happened to Ukraine?
Everything that could go wrong went wrong.
That's what it seemed like to me.
Yeah, the Lunyan, 2 bad errors. And look, that first goal was a wonder goal, but that was
beautiful.
By some of the worst distribution I've seen in a long time. I think Rebrov got his tactics wrong. Zinchenko is not a left back.
No.
He's a midfielder. How many times do I have to say that?
Yeah.
He's not a left back. And what I sort of said in both the Eastern European preview, but on the preview itself, and look, the talent's there. I don't think Mudryk is your nailed-on starting left winger. I would put Tashankov there, and I either start Yarmolenko and then bring on Zubak, but I think he's a high-impact sub. I don't think he can be trusted as the full-time left back winger until proven otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I feel like Romania also caught lightning in a bottle a little bit.
They were up for it. And look, I said in my preview, and I watched some of them in qualifying. They're tough. They play as a unit.
Yeah. And Romania is looking to come back. You got this. Yes. Romania has not really been relevant since the 90s. So they're trying to get it back.
I'm not going to wax poetically about those Romania teams.
Yeah.
God damn it, they were fun.
And they were with Georgi Hagi. Those teams were fantastic. They were fantastic.
Shout out the random right back with blue hair, because that brought me back to that 98 tournament. Remember they dyed their hair like ball freaking yellow?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. That was one of the ones where I thought it was just cool to see them back. And the same thing will happen for those of us who were really brought into this game from the 94 World Cup, who were able to actually watch this when Bulgaria finally does have their resurgence.
Exactly.
I'm going to have the same level of happiness because I love watching that Bulgaria team in 94. They were great.
I as like a 15-year-old, thought Bulgaria was a powerhouse.
Yeah.
Years later, I was
and
that was a random blip.
Yeah, but they should have beat Germany that game. That was a penalty. I'm sorry. That was a penalty. You remember I forgot who. All I remember is he ran through 2 German defenders. They tripped him, and then they jumped back like this, and they didn't get a call. That was a penalty, and I will go to the grave thinking that was a missed call. All right, final group, Group F. I don't think we know that much yet about this group.
I agree.
I think we saw Portugal was Portugal. You know, they played like you expected Portugal to play. Turkey beats Georgia. But again, I don't think we learned a whole lot because this group seems to be pretty much split in half. But go ahead, Professor Matt.
Turkey was convincing, although God knows that didn't get out of hand until late.
Mm-hmm.
I have to see them against the other 2 teams before
Yes.
I pass judgment.
I agree 1,000%.
There was stuff I liked. There was stuff I didn't like. I think we learned a little bit about the other 2 teams, the Czech Republic or Czechia, whatever they're calling themselves these days.
Yeah.
They're going to be a pain in the ass, and they have 2 really, really good players from the West Ham crew. Portugal, and even Coach Matt said it in the commentary, and I was like, I have to get my little dig in. He was just like, I don't know what formation they're playing. This all just seems like vibes. And I'm like, Roberto Martinez. Like I told you, tactics aren't real. And I it's really strange when you are as deep a team as Portugal is. You're chasing goals, and you don't make any substitutions of note until minute 88.
Look, they're still starting Pepe.
Hey, respect to Pepe, though. He's
my
dude.
I got no disrespect to Pepe, but bro is 41.
I know. And that's the other, that actually does go back to the why aren't you making subs? You're going to burn Ronaldo out before the group stage over.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you have to manage his minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be real. He actually, for as much talent as they have up front, he was their most dangerous looking player to that.
Yeah. Look, Pepe is a dog. He is. He's a dog. But you're 41, dude.
Sorry. Not cheese dog.
But he's still doing it though. Like
he's
still
doing it.
Like,
he's doing it. Porto again.
I had to cancel drinks with Celtic Chem this week because I'm like, we're in something called the freaking heat dome, and I don't want to walk, a mile and a half, and then walk a mile and a half like not sober. So look, Pepe is my age. He can do things. Pepe probably could walk and get beers with Celtic Chem.
That's true. That's true.
So
nothing but respect, though, Pepe. I'm just like, that is true. I mean, look, Porto's one of the big 3 teams in Portugal, and he's still in there week in and week out. It's not like they dragged him off out of the scrap heap and were like, yo, we need a player. He's been in playing, and now he's their starting center half, and they're playing a 3-man backfield, so still doing it.
But when you're stacked in the midfield and you have forwards like they do, like you don't really need to have a strong defense like compared to other teams. You have the mids who really control the game. What was his name? Rovinho or something like that. Sorry, I can't even say his name. Vitinha. He's a short little guy.
I like him.
I'm gonna say Messi-esque with his kind of distribution a little bit. Kind of his IQ, not super fast, but something like he can control the midfield a little. Yeah,
but he's quick. 5'8", smaller guys, quick.
You have João Felix, you have Jota, you have Neto, you have all these good players, Bernardo Silva, you have all these great players who can produce. Why not throw a 41-year-old back there to make sure that your defense is solid? He can direct the young guys where they need to be.
I'll tell you this: he's not going to get faked out up here. You know that. That's not going to happen to him.
Coach G, you rocking the Italia jersey. He's one of those defenders who still likes to defend.
Yeah.
And I think
he's a player,
he's got that Paolo Maldini in him,
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. You got to love those players too. Like, I'm going to do the dirty, gritty work of the defense. I'm going to talk some crap, and I'm going to hit them. I'm so dirty. That's why he's 41 years old and he still does it.
Yeah.
Like,
you know what though? But He
Jealous.
doesn't even have to do that. All Pepe has to do is look at you. That's all he's got to do, because they're like, dude, that dude's 41,
It's funny
6'2".
with age,
You know,
he's actually cleaned up his game
he
because
has cleaned up his
yeah,
game.
these
He's way
tournaments,
more technical than he used to be.
yeah, and these tournaments, he was like almost a nailed on walking red card at some.
Right, right.
Was he the?
And,
Yeah, it was him that headbutted Thomas Mueller
oh yeah,
years
oh
ago,
yeah,
right?
he's a dog. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But look, man, the next World Cup will be 43. Don't be surprised if they.
I wouldn't be shocked.
I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, some people just don't age, or they only age from here up. You know. All right. Well, that was fun. That was actually a lot of fun. It took us over an hour. But I know after the first game of an international tournament of this caliber, that's always when probably things are the most exciting. So hopefully we'll see. We'll get some more answers to the questions, because I feel like we asked a lot of questions in our analysis. But that's what makes this fun. That's what makes this fun. But let's go ahead and switch it up here to talk about briefly. We're going to talk about the upcoming Copa America, which starts on Thursday. What's really cool about these games too is that if you are, well, maybe not in my situation, but if you are like single with no kids, you can just binge out, where you can watch two or three group stage games of the Euro, and then 2 group stage games of the Copa America, and just really sit back and enjoy yourselves. So I'm thinking Saturday. I think there's 5 games on Saturday, and none of them are on at the same time. So you have a game, hour gap, game, hour gap, game, hour gap, game, hour gap, game. That's just fantastic.
When I got with Elizabeth, we're all teachers. She goes, "What do you do in your summertime?" Like when we first got together, I go, "I watch soccer." She's like, "What do you mean you do?" I go, "Soccer is just spaced out all day. You can do that. This kind of fills your summer." Like I love it. Like there's soccer year round.
That's what built this podcast, brother.
Tournaments.
Yeah, yep. I'd go to the pub and just go, all right, change the channel.
Yeah.
Or go to the next one. Go to the next one. It was the best. So, but we're starting with Argentina, Canada, and then we have Peru and Chile, excuse me, and then of course so on and so forth. But I don't think we're going to spend too much time as we did with the Euro, primarily because this took a lot longer than I expected, and it's late, and I'm tired. So, but let's go ahead and go through. I think we just kind of name the groups, just pick the group winner, and how we see the groups ending up, just briefly. So we'll start with Group A. We have Argentina, Peru, Chile, and Canada. And so I think this one's pretty clear, but I think we pick who the top 2 teams are going to be coming out of this group. I think the actual game is for second. And so, Professor Matt, what do you see happening here, brother?
I can't see a universe without Argentina finishing first. Maybe not on 9 points, but damn close. I know Canada have been playing better under Jesse Marsh, but I'm going to make a case here for Chile. I know, like, the last couple tournaments, it's like old men, old men, old men. Yes, Alexis Sanchez is still there. However, a lot of the old men have been cycled out. There's a couple new guys, in particular, this kid who's playing 20-year-olds playing in Denmark, Dario Arsario.
Mm-hmm.
Watch out for that name, because he's tricky. But I think the biggest difference has been, and I'm glad Byron Robb isn't here, because he'd be in tears or something. Ricardo Gareca has made such a difference. Peru's old coach. I don't. I think it's really pretty solid. 1-2 Argentina, Chile, Canada probably third, because I don't trust this Peruvian team. Like, this is not the squad that made run to the final 5 years ago. Like, this is a squad with now 3 new managers, and they're starting anew. Yeah, I wish I could say be a little bit more optimistic, Rob, but I can't.
I can't either. I see Peru not getting out of this group stage, and I'm sorry. I will never trust Canada. in an international tournament until they prove me otherwise. Unless it's like the whack gold cup, that's probably it. But the way they laid an egg when they won qualifying for CONCACAF, I was like, okay, Canada, you got to show me something here. I don't really care what you do outside of this. You got to show me something here, and I'm not going to pick them to win at all. I see them in Peru maybe getting a point because they draw against each other, and the other two teams getting 6 and 7 points or something like that. That's how I see this shaking out. I think this is clear. Say what you want about Alexis Sanchez. He's only 35.
Well,
he's got legs, and he's back on Inter, and he played over 20 games this year. Maybe not scoring as much, but he's been playing. So, and I think I could see him actually making a lot of noise.
And they're using him differently in Italy.
Yeah.
More.
Yeah.
His game is different. So he could channel that old pacier Alexis Sanchez.
Yeah. I don't see a tired guy out there. I see a guy who's been able to kind of maintain his fitness, but because of the way they're using him in Italy, he has a lot left in the tank to really make a lot of noise this summer.
And like I said, a lot of those old Chilean guys have been cycled out. A new generation is emerging, and like I said, watch out for that name, Dario Osorio.
Yeah, it's a cool name too.
So he should be making a Italian, films in the 60s or 70s.
All right, let's go to Group B. We got Mexico, Ecuador, Venezuela, and Jamaica. Jamaica's finishing 4th, but let's go about everybody else. Sorry, dude. Sorry. Michael Antonio, you can't pull this team out of this group by yourself, man. I'm sorry. G, what do you think, man? Is this just basically Mexico and Ecuador?
Well, I'm going to go for A first because I didn't get my chance. I agree with both you guys. I think Argentina's going to win it. I think Chile's going to be 2nd place. Canada, just because you're fun and you're in there, you'll get a point against Peru, and that's about it. Yep, you're 4th or 3rd. So it was fun. You got lucky last tournament, blah, blah, blah. All right, so Group B. I have Venezuela, my number 1.
Ooh.
I have Mexico, my number 2. I have Jamaica, number 3, and I have Ecuador, number 4. I like Venezuela. I kind of like what they're doing right now. They look pretty sharp. Mexico, they're in a rebuild. Don't really count them out, but as of right now, we really don't know until they play, kind of thing. Like you said, Jamaica, you're forward. You have one guy. It's really easy to take him out. Then you have Bailey after that. Your goalie.
Bailey going to the tournament. He's pissed off at the FA again.
All right, so then they're definitely 4th, but then you have the goalie Sean, who's been a decent goalie for in MLS and stuff like that. He's probably the only reason why they might have a point or 2 all tournament, because the goalie's just really good. But yeah, I don't really see Mexico winning the group. I see Venezuela.
Yeah, I don't. I'm sorry. I see Mexico or Ecuador. I see Ecuador winning this group. And then I see Mexico finishing 2nd. And then I see Venezuela finishing 3rd and Jamaica finishing 4th. I just think that, Jamaica is a team that everyone wants to support, but we have to understand their best athletes are on the track. That's where their best athletes are. And which is why they are so dominant in the sport. G, you and I both love track. We both follow it completely. And look, that is their, I don't want to say it's their bread and butter, but that is where they clearly dominate. And we also have to remember that Jamaicans also have a large quantity of athletes who come up here and play North American gridiron football. So I think Jamaica is going to have the same problem that the United States has, where their best athletes don't play soccer. Because also what their great athletes do is they're also great at cricket. So I just think that soccer is just not, we think that they love soccer, but I don't think that they do as much as the rest of the world thinks they do, because they dominate very much so in other sports as well, that I just don't see Jamaica. Jamaica basically looks for English guys who have some sort of Jamaican heritage and yank them on their national team. That's what they do.
And you better hope that those English guys don't make the England squad, because they're going to.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm sure they called Raheem Sterling when he was 10.
Oh.
And Raheem was like, I know I was born in Kingston, but no, I'm playing for England. And Michael Antonio, if he could sniff the bench on the national team, he would not be playing for Jamaica. Same as that guy. Who was the center half that played for Leicester when they won the championship? he played for Jamaica because he wasn't even looked at as a great defender until Leicester was on that run. He was playing the championship the whole time. He's English. That guy's English. Okay. Yeah. So let's not get it twisted. Jamaica, I will watch your games. I'm sure they'll be fun. And they do play a very flamboyant, fun, up and down the field style of play. But I mean, Jamaica has guys in the national team that are playing D2 college soccer in the North America. That's just who Jamaica is. So, Professor Matt, go ahead.
Yeah, it's funny. So the three of us have gone in very different directions in some ways. So we all agree Jamaica's finishing fourth, right?
G hasn't finished in third.
Okay. I have them fourth. I have Ecuador finishing first, like you do, Stead. There's too much talent on this team.
Yeah.
And look, you could go down the list. All four teams in this group are in some way, shape, or form dysfunctional.
Right.
I think they are the least dysfunctional. In fact, in my notes, all I have written down is don't go to strip clubs. He's literally, that's been their problem as of late. It's been disciplinary stuff. So it's just don't go to strip clubs. You should be okay. I kind of agree with G though. I think Venezuela, the ghost of Hugo Chavez smiles. I think they finished second, and this is why. About a month ago, I was like, I think I'm being too hard on Mexico. Then I watched some of the prep matches. Yo, they're bad.
They're awful.
They are absolutely directionless. And even though they probably have more talent than Venezuela does, Venezuela has a system, and I trust what they have. I can't trust this Mexican team. I think both CONCACAF teams finish third and fourth.
I mean, I can understand that. I also think that the Mexico's dealing with so much political instability right now that and it's scary. I mean, when you really dig into it, that that does affect national teams. It just does. And so I think
it's one of those groups too. It's a shit group. It matters who just wins out that day. So we all have different order because it's like you said, it's a dysfunctional. Every team's going in different directions, right?
You know what the crazy thing is? All four of us said, two of us said fourth, one said third. Would anyone really be shocked if Jamaica finished second?
No.
I think I guess maybe not considering Venezuela's we all know what's going on with Venezuela.
Yeah, and talk about look, they're a baseball playing country first,
and they are that's a baseball
so
country. They are.
There's U.S. economic warfare, which creates political
absolutely
ability. There's a lot of things. The only
every that is fucked up. Every group has political stuff.
This group is. It's kind of scary when Ecuador and Jamaica are looked at as the more stable countries.
Yeah,
especially Jamaica. I was just in Jamaica and I was like, it's kind of cool. They can do something about the crime, but it's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, I've been to Jamaica a few times, and I can honestly say I've had fun every time I've gone. All right, let's go to Group C. We have G's favorite team, the U.S. men's national team. We have Uruguay, Panama, and Bolivia. So I will go ahead and jump here and say that, Uruguay is probably the second best team in this tournament right now. So to think that they would have any trouble getting out of this group is pretty slim. I think that if the United States do not get at least 6 points in this group, that shows you how bad Berhalter is. This is one of the most talented U.S. men's teams that we've had since 2002. And I will give them a pass against Uruguay because they just have so much. For a country of 3 million people, that's a machine. They just turn out great footballer. I think what often happens to me is I learn about a player being good for a club before I hear the fact that they're from Uruguay. Mm-hmm. So, but you look at this U.S. team, and you're seeing that the club that they've brought. Now, I like to kind of dump on Josh Sargent, but he actually had a pretty good season last year for Norwich, even though it was in the championship. He actually did. But you're looking at, you're getting players that other FAs are saying don't go to the United States, and they're going. You're getting these players now. So you look at Haji Wright, you look at Ricardo Pepi, you look at, what's his name? Yunus Musa. You have a squad here of players that are not playing for Padova in Italy like you did, Lawless. They're playing for Milan. They're playing for Juventus. Think about it. There's 2 American players for Juventus. There's 2 American players for Milan. We have players from Celta Vigo and Real Betis. We have players on Monaco. We have 2 players. Now, Fulham has been the U.S. national team of England, so having American players on Fulham is not that big of a deal. But look, Crystal Palace is a good club. It's a good club. So you have players that are playing, and they're not on the bench. They're playing. They're playing. This is one of the most talented U.S. teams that we've had in a very long time. And Matt Turner is a good goalie. He's a good goalie. Gee, we love Matt Turner.
No, I've never been a fan.
What are you talking about, man?
I'm like,
he
what the
played
hell
for
are we
us,
doing?
man. And
No, I don't like
him.
him.
Pretty good in cup games.
All I'm saying is this. For me. I don't
All I'm
like
saying
him.
is this.
He doesn't control the defense well for me.
Look, we're not playing Ethan Horvath. That's all I'm saying. So all I'm saying is, like, this squad, if the United States, I don't want to say they're on semifinal, but I'll say this. If they squeak out of this group with 4 points or something like that, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This you gotta go. You gotta go. You just the other squads that are in your group, Panama, Bolivia. Look, man, there's just no excuse. There's no excuse. And Berhalter, after all of the CRAP you went through, you have to shine. You have to shine, because I don't know of many people who think you're the guy for the job anyway, and they kept you. I don't think anyone thought he'd still be here by this time.
Get rehired. Yeah.
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 And right now, I always thought that you wanted the coach that took you to this tournament to lead you to your next World Cup. Because he had the big tournament experience, especially if you're going to hire an American. So, okay, rant over. Gee, I'm skipping you for this group. I don't want to hear what you have to say. Professor Matt, go ahead.
Uruguay won. That's easy.
That's easy.
This is going to sound psychotic. Dark horse gold boot winner, Darwin Nunez, because for whatever reason, maybe because he doesn't have to think as much at Uruguay, does score goals.
So there's a little Liverpool love right there.
No. I see him getting 5 in this group stage.
Yeah, and notice I said he doesn't have to think as much. So you read the lines there, Jake. But
and they're bringing Luis Suarez off the bench.
Don't do it. Don't do it, Professor Matt. I know what you're thinking right now, and I think we're on the same page.
So I misspoke a week ago in the group chat because for some reason I thought Paraguay was in this group. In which case, if they were, I was actually going to have Paraguay finish second. But it was Panama, not Paraguay. The United States will finish second, but by default. And, this is what you calling him Burkhalter. You're giving him too much credit. I call him Old Greg. Old Greg. I said something about stagnation earlier. My fear with this U.S. team is just that. It's stagnation. Should he have gotten quote unquote fired for all that happened? Hell no.
No,
We
absolutely
all
not.
agree on that.
Absolutely not. No.
But rehiring him and double downing on him also doesn't make any sense because that
Hmm.
just tells me, oh, you're comfortable with just being okay.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And with the same old ideas.
Yeah.
Look,
You
this,
think beating this Mexico team is somehow some sort of
yeah, the
accomplishment?
frustrate being kings of CONCACAF doesn't that that
No.
that's not good enough.
No.
And it's not through lack of talent. This is arguably the most talented and the most seasoned American team I've ever seen. I
Agreed.
think there are some questions in the defense, but I think there's, potential there. I agree with Coach G, actually. I do question Matt Turner. After the season I saw domestically this year, I have some questions, but he's the
I think
default,
he's the best that they
but
have.
he's the default number one by
Mhm.
just
Like,
because.
look,
Like
Zach Steffens,
he's
his career took a nosedive.
I was
Yeah.
gonna ask, is he still in the setup? Like,
Mhm.
so he's gonna be in there. I don't know what.
He might have been injured, but he's not even on the recent call-up list.
Okay, so like,
Sean Johnson.
I think the United States gets out the group, but I hate to say, I think it looks more like the scenario, the nightmare scenario you suggested, where it's like 4 points, and then if they're gonna play who I think they're gonna play in the next round, they're
It'll
gonna
be
get
Argentina.
sacrificed.
They'll play Argentina and get.
Well, hold on. Is
Is
it?
that the setup? Let me see. Let me check.
I think it's actually the winner of Group B. I may be wrong.
Oh, so Brazil.
Hmm. You're assuming Brazil, but
Yes, I mean,
regardless,
okay. Well, we're gonna get
regardless,
to that
we're
group.
gonna
We're gonna
get
get to
there.
that group because I think
I
that's the
think
group
they're
of
gonna
death.
get sacrificed. I'm gonna go Bolivia 3 just for Coach G, but I think that could go one way or the other.
Professor Matt will
Uh,
be, or Coach Matt will be happy about that.
Coach Matt, I'm sorry, Coach
Yeah.
Matt. My one
Well,
concern there is there's no altitude tax.
Yeah, exactly.
So like if
They
if
can't
they
bring you
play
to La Paz
if
and make you
they
play
play
at
all three
13,000
matches,
feet.
if they play all three matches in Miami, they're screwed.
mhm.
But yeah, we'll see. I think the United States gets out of the group, but I think at the end of this tournament, we're the peasants with the pitchforks and the torches.
Yeah, absolutely.
And here's the
As we should
sad
be.
and here's the sad thing: the FA will rationalize because he got out of the group.
As they always do.
Buckhalter will remain.
Yep. They always rationalize. And they're going to have to say that because they're going to realize that they can't lure big name coaches to the United States so easily anymore because there's more jobs now that coaches will take. Because if you ask me, I could coach the United States or I could go halfway around the world and coach South Korea. Probably picking South Korea right now.
Yeah.
G, go ahead with Group C. And even though we know you're going to pick
Nice.
US to finish fourth, but
No, actually, I don't. I'm not for. But like we kind of talked about with Canada's head coach, you have Marsh up there. Why couldn't the United States hire him? Like it didn't work with Burkholz. Why? But whatever. I'm a big Bruce Arenas fan. I wish he would come back and just kind of take it over. But that's just me.
if you have to stick with American,
didn't hear about the
yeah,
U.S. game
get
last
Bruce Arena back. I'd support that before this.
Yeah.
I would too.
Freaking
Justin
the
Marshall
United
in
States
Canada. Can
stats
you
of the
believe that?
starters
That is
all 11
ridiculous.
that all 11 played in the top tier in all Europe leagues. So that's the first ever in United States history. So you have all that talent who's starting, and you don't have a coach that is at that level. Something's not going to be right. So through this tournament, I do have Uruguay number one. I think Panama is be my number two. And the reason why, because they always play tough. They don't have superstars, but as a squad, they play tough. And I think they've beaten the United States within the last couple of years several times in tournaments.
I'm pretty sure they have.
Don't count them out. So I actually, whatever. I have the United States being number three, just because I think Panama is just a little bit better quality, but I could be wrong because I'm a hater. And I'm rooting for. I'm kind of hopping on Coach Matt's Bolivia team here. I think it's going to be my dark horse. I think they're going to become fourth, but I'm going to root for them a little bit just because little coach love between both of us. But so yeah, I think United States.
Soccer love.
I just think I just don't think the coach knows what he has. I think the more experienced coach, a little bit higher IQ, it seems like, someone maybe who dresses a little bit better on the sideline. I don't know, but I'm just saying, like, I don't think he's the coach, and I don't think he has been the coach. And it's scary when you have to rehire him. Like, there's no one else out there. So right there, it's like we're stagnant. We have our players going up, but our coaching staff is stagnant, and that's not a good recipe right there.
This is the worst case scenario. This is the worst case scenario: is that the U.S. do poorly, and they understand that Berhalter is not the guy, and Canada does well, and the
Prof to
Canadian
Marsh.
FA keep Marsh, and they throw a bunch of money at him because, like, I think Jesse Marsh should be the U.S. coach. Absolutely. If you have to have an American, it should be Jesse Marsh. He knows how to coach a bunch of guys who are at a bunch of different places because of his experience, not in England. It's his experience in Austria. I think that's what really, because that's kind of where he shined. It's where he shined. And that's kind of where the U.S. players are talent-wise, I would say. Because let's not get it twisted. The U.S. does have some very good players, but it's not like we have the players that are getting picked for UEFA teams of the season for various leagues. We're not seeing that. But, Pulisic had probably his second best year as a pro this past year and found a home.
Yeah.
I really think he should have a coach who's cut his teeth over there as well. Even though he didn't do great, I feel like he was set up to fail at Leeds, and it was just a rough situation from the start. I think that's the guy who should be leading this team, and I think he does. I think he does too, which is why he took the Canada job.
He might have a sweet gig up there. He might stay up there because if he's bringing Canada to the next level, he might be a god in soccer legend up there.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying it's a worst case scenario though, because we all saw what the Canadian FA did before the last World Cup. So sorry, dude, it's not on ice. It's not a hockey rink, and so Canada may not be. And in Canada also, they're getting very good at basketball as well. So I guess soccer is also probably fourth in Canada as well. So go ahead, Professor. You want to add something?
The two things that you brought up in terms of Marsh, and one of the reasons I thought he was ideal for the job. He's American, but he's cut his teeth. As much as we want to crap on Jurgen Klinsmann, and please do, the overall, he's a horrible manager. But in terms of the vision of how we were going to get from where we were to where we are now, it's been his vision.
He may not have been
on the road.
Yes, he may not have been the best coach, but what he said about what the problems are with U.S. soccer, what he said about what the problems was with the way they develop their players, the way they develop the national team, the way the MLS is conducted, he was exactly right. And it has been proven.
What do we do to him? You're fired. Like, he's telling us how to fix it. He's telling us how to do this.
He told you how to fix the problem, and he said these are the problems, and these are still the problems. As long as this game is viewed as a prep school game, the U.S. is never going to reach that level. And you had the opportunity to build a grassroots effort with the enormous immigrant population we have in the United States. You had the opportunity with the growth of the MLS. We can crap on MLS all we want, but if you go to MLS games, you cannot say that league has not improved by leaps and bounds over the last 30 years. And it is a completely different side. Go ahead, Matt.
You are slowly but surely seeing all of these groups that were shut out from the American game starting to creep in. And that's the frustrating thing about Greg Buckhalter's existence, because he represents 20 years ago.
He does.
We should be thinking 20 years.
He's still looking at players who went to the University of Virginia, like that means something. And I've coached a couple of kids who've played collegiate soccer, who've won national championships. And both of them told me that they knew they weren't going pro when they went to college. They knew. And they were like, no, it was cool. It was just, I have my shot. I didn't get picked up, and everything. And I was like, all right, well, I can take my scholarship and I can go play at UVA, Georgetown, North Carolina, one of these big collegiate soccer schools, even Maryland. But they knew at that point that they might get picked up by an MLS team. That's probably going to be the extent, because if you're going to compete, you need to have players that you could start for your national team when they're 16 and 17 years old, like every other country that's very good does,
Literally.
which we don't have. All right, let's go to Group D. Group D, we got the group of death, I think, with I would say, sadly, unfortunately, every national team goes like this, and we're seeing this with Costa Rica. You know, Keylor Navas cannot be the guy as
Is the striker that was at Arsenal but on loan constantly still there?
I don't think so. I know who you're talking about because he has an American name.
Yeah.
An English name, but I'll look him up. I know exactly what you're talking about. I don't think he's on this setup anymore.
Okay.
But we have Paraguay, Brazil, and Colombia. Like this is the group right here. Because I also agree with you. I think Paraguay is a dangerous team. But Professor Matt, we'll go ahead and start with you. Go ahead and let Joel Campbell. I guess he's still on the setup. Wow. I thought he didn't I thought he was on the setup anymore.
So I'm not going to, and look, I'm not Brazilian, so I don't have the investment. But I'm going to echo what one of my all-time favorite Brazilian players said over the course of this last week. I think this might be. It's not that this team is bad, but it's just it's not Brazil. It's vanilla.
It is.
It's for the most flamboyant, beautiful footballing playing nation out there. This is the most vanilla Brazil squad. And I doubled down on what I said a couple weeks ago. The only bona fide difference maker, at least at the national team level, not club level, is the goalkeeper and or goalkeepers. Because Vinny's great. Brazil Vinny and Real Madrid Vinny are two separate people.
Put it this way. Vinny has 30 caps for Brazil. He has 3 goals.
Yeah. And you have, again, Richarlison, who's not a bad player. But should he be leading the line for Brazil?
Richarlison didn't make the squad.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah. I think he's injured. But he didn't make the squad. I'll put it this way. Their leading goal scorer for national team goals has 6. That's it. This is a young team, I would say, as far as experience goes. You only have, let me look at this. They don't have a single player with more than 50 caps that plays midfielder or forward. And they only have 2 players that have over 50 caps, 3 players, that have over 50 caps in the whole squad. So this is a young squad. I don't know what they're going to do because of what we've already discussed. Look, the Paraguay squad. Go ahead. I mean, they're scary.
They can defend. And going back to previous conversation about Pepe, they like to defend.
Mm-hmm.
That is, part of their identity. And don't sleep on this Colombia team.
That was going to save them because they actually look good.
They've impressed the hell out of me in qualification, and I don't want this to seem like this is the Liverpool South American Love Fest show. But is another one of those guys. When he puts on that national team jersey, he's just different.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going Colombia 1. I think they win the group.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they will dispatch the United States in a humiliating fashion.
Yeah.
Okay, just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. I think Brazil finished second. I think they scrape out of this group. But I've never been, and again, it's not like this team's bad. It's just this team's blah.
Mm-hmm.
And I will be honest. I think they can get at because what I did learn from that friendly against the United States is I'm so used to having Brazil, even not great Brazil teams, have a proper 6 in the middle of that midfield.
Mm-hmm.
this is Douglas Luiz is not that guy.
No,
He really isn't that guy, and I I
Lucas
but
Paqueta isn't either.
I still think they're good enough. I think they get 3 points against Costa Rica.
Hmm.
Squeak by Paraguay.
Yeah.
No,
Costa Rica has a bunch of guys who play professionally in Costa Rica. I mean, that's all you really
yeah,
need to know.
and there's still there's a fair amount of the 2014 brigade still there.
Hmm.
A little
Hmm.
concerning. Paraguay will make it tough though. They'll be a pain.
Yeah. And
And
Keylor Navas retired. So,
oh,
yeah,
so
he's out. He's done.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I also have Colombia finishing first. I do. I think that they probably I can see them and Brazil having the same level of points, but I see Brazil winning these games 1-0, whereas I see Colombia being a bit more dominant. The only thing that I think saves Brazil is if Vinicius Jr. decides to wake up when he plays for Brazil and just have a whole different mindset about how this tournament's going to go and decide to be the player who's actually the favorite to win the Ballon d'Or, which is going to be surprising that you have the current favorite to win the Ballon d'Or, and yet his squad is looked at as blah without a legit superstar to make them actually be the team to watch. Yet you're the favorite. So I think I think he's got some pressure on him to really produce this tournament. And you're a Brazilian, dude. You gotta look good doing it. You do. Unfortunately, that's the culture that of footballing that your country really seems to press on. So I think that's got to happen for this Brazil squad to be something that I feel like people are going to get behind to have them have a legit chance of winning. Because what I don't like about this tournament is it looks like this is, I guess I can't pick on Bayern Munich anymore, but this is a one and then a whole lot of everybody else's with this tournament. You have Argentina, and then maybe Uruguay, maybe,
That was my thought too.
and then it's like okay, and then the rest of the guys are just going to kind of be there. You know who's going to get knocked out really quickly. You know who's going to qualify for the quarterfinals, and then it's like okay, well, who's just going to make it to get beat by Argentina in the final? That's what this tournament looks like to me, which is sad because it makes it not so exciting.
Well, it's weird, and maybe it's kind of cool that both tournaments are happening at the same time.
Mm,
One of the reasons I love the Euros and one of the reasons I love the African Cup of Nations is the unpredictability.
absolutely.
One of the reasons I have always been kind of like about the Copa is until the knockout stage, it literally is the tournament of chalk.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, the gap, it's kind of crazy that the gap between the bigger South American squads and the sort of second tier ones and the CONCACAF brigade is still that large.
Yeah, absolutely.
The gap between an Argentina and Bolivia is not as vast as between, in Italy and Albania.
Mhm.
I think that's there's something to be said about that.
Right, right, right. Well, what I will say this about this Copa America though, I personally think that this tournament needs to stop being a South American focused tournament. It needs to stop. I know that they want all of their countries to qualify, and then they would invite two other Japan, Qatar, usually from Asia, because they don't really have a big Asian Cup at the time. I think though, if they want this to be bigger, and they invited the United States, and I think it was '95, and US finished third or fourth, and they didn't invite them again. They didn't invite them again because they're like, no, you guys did too well. We don't want that smoke. Well, yeah, but then you cost yourself a whole lot of money for a number of years. And you could have invited them out in '98 or in '99 and beat the pants off of them because they were that bad, and gotten some more eyes on it. But I think this format that they've chosen to do with this needs to be the standard format. The Gold Cup is a complete waste of time. It's a complete waste of time. You have your Nations League, so that way teams like Martinique and Guadeloupe and Guia can play their games. Turks and Caicos, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, when they have 40,000 people in the country, can get their games or whatever. I'm sorry, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of time. And the only reason why we're keeping it this way is because those countries get a vote in FIFA that are the same level of vote as Germany, which is stupid. It's stupid, but it's something where I'm going. This needs to be. It's more for corruption. It's just so they can pay those guys to give them their votes, so they can put World Cups in the middle of November. But yeah, I really think that if they stick with this tournament like this, where you have your 10 teams and you invite 6 teams from North America, that's what you have to do. That's what you have to do. Do
Well,
that every time. This tournament will get better and better and better and better.
I think you raised two sort of points there because on the one hand, having smaller nations and having their say, I think is important, but you bring up something just true, suitcases full of money. But I think it would behoove not just South America, and look, that you could have did your own thing in the past, and that was different. That was a different time.
Mm,
It would behoove and benefit the entire hemisphere. If you want to do World Cup qualifying differently, cool.
that's fine. Yeah.
The Gold Cup and the Copa de America become the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a true Western Hemisphere tournament. I think that just makes way more sense.
It looks like maybe
Oh,
Willie Hayes.
wow. All right. I'll make that a quick announcement.
Wow.
Just came across the chat line that Willie Mays at 93 years old has passed away today. So some considered to be the greatest living baseball player at this point in time has just passed away. So
Huge
condolences,
loss.
huge loss. Absolutely condolences to his family. There are a bunch of really, really interesting documentaries about his life. I encourage you to go watch them. They're very, very exciting. Prayers to the Mays family and all the supporters and San Francisco and New York Giants Nation and New York Mets, because he did retire there, because unfortunately the New York Giants days where he had his most shine. So I was happy that he was able to end his career there. But getting back to this topic about Copa America, if you want to watch something very interesting, there is a series on YouTube called HITC Sevens by a YouTuber. His name is Alfie, and he puts out these 30-minute shows about various topics that are very well researched and very well written and very well produced and very, very well delivered. He has, I think, about a half an hour video about the Copa America that he did a few years ago, and it talks about how this tournament has been the Wild West for about 100 years. It is very, very interesting to watch. If you have not seen that, I encourage you to go see it and give him a follow. I follow him on YouTube, and I really enjoy his content. So we're looking at, we got our group winners. G, go ahead. Why don't you jump in with the last group, with Group D, and then we'll wrap this up.
I think Colombia, I think they're going to be actually a really huge dark horse in the tournament. I think they actually might have a chance to win the entire thing.
I agree. They do have a chance to win this.
I think they're going to win the group. I think Brazil will be second. Even though I've always been a fan of Brazil, just the history about it and blah, blah, blah. But this is definitely, like I said earlier before, once that Germany kind of destroyed them in their own place, it just changed the fabric of their soccer team. And it seemed like they've just been declining. But like you said before, Stead, they're a young group right now. So they have an upside, but especially when we got a couple of Arsenal players that we could watch them. We saw Martinelli grow this year. So I think they're going to really rely on him as a forward attacking. I think Paraguay has a really good chance to get third, but so does Costa Rica. It matters who kind of shows up. But yeah, I think Colombia is going to be my dark horse for the entire tournament. If not beat Argentina, at least losing to them in the final. So I'll put them in the final. If everything matches up just right.
If they don't see Argentina before that, yeah.
Okay. So then at the semifinal, that might be the final in my eyes, because whoever on the other side of the bracket might be a shit team or whatever, they won't match up. So that might be the final, but in a semifinal game.
Yeah, I haven't checked how the brackets shake out, but if Group C plays Group D in the quarters, then they wouldn't see Argentina to the final anyway. Because you got to remember, this is a 6-game tournament, not 7. Mm-hmm. So they top 2 go, and they go right to the quarterfinals. So they cut everything in half.
And when I saw, yeah, I saw them against the United States, a couple weeks ago. But they just look like a different team compared to last year and 2 years ago. Looks like the cohesion, the more games played. Most of them are now in Europe where they weren't before. Like they're getting all this exposure and all this experience right now. So Colombia is, well, just watch out for them. Is all I can say. So hopefully, I'm right with this. But if not, they're going to do some damage in this tournament, and they're really going to be the next tournament. They'll be, if not the favorites.
That's the team
up there in the top.
Yeah, that's the team I was really looking forward to watch. We're looking forward to watch. So.
Pretty much. So.
Professor Matt, any final statements you choose to add about this tournament before we wrap this up?
No, my final is literally, geez, Argentina over Colombia in a close one. But if there is a team that is equipped, because Uruguay, if things go the way they go, Argentina Uruguay could be a semifinal.
Mm-hmm.
So, and again, I think there's something just about this Colombian team. They've impressed the hell out of me in qualification, and there's an open path.
And they've proven to be a difficult out for many
and
a tournament.
They brought Jaimes. They brought
good, and that yes,
tournament Jaimes is different from
and James is only 32.
Yeah, which is insane.
Yeah, only 32, playing at Sao Paulo right now. So, yeah, that's very, very true. And you look at the squad and you're seeing a lot of guys like, okay, you guys got some experience out there. Yerry Mina's still playing for Colombia as well. So, this should be fun. This should be fun. And look, Davinson Sanchez is a good defender. He's a good defender, but playing in Galatasaray, playing in Turkey.
Is he dirty though?
Is he what?
Is he dirty, Shan?
No, you said it, not me. See, now you got to make me have to edit this video, G. Now I got to go edit this. Thanks a lot, bro.
I can't say that?
You can't say that. No. I got to edit
this. He's a dirty player. If he's a dirty player.
Mute you. All right. Well, I think that means it's time for us to go. So for Professor Matt and Coach G, I am producer Stead for the Too Many Guys Soccer Show. Please make sure you tune in and watch both of these tournaments, Copa America and the Euro, and we'll probably be putting out some content over the weekend as well about after match day 2, for the Euro, and try to probably get some sort of video out after each round of matches for both of these tournaments. And then, so we're going to be putting out a lot of stuff over the next 2 to 3 weeks. So please tune in, listen. We're on all the major podcast forums. You can also email us at toomanyguyssoccershow@gmail.com. I'm Stead. We did all right this week. We will do better next week.